Green Cooling scores with the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League Show.
Yes, very good evening and welcome to yet another edition. We think it's edition 35 of the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League Show. I'm Steve Beech. Joining me as always is my oppo, Dave Parkinson. Dave, this is going to be an absolutely really key show, this one, isn't it?
Yeah, how do, Steve? How do, everybody? I'm trying to sound as much Yorkshire as I possibly can, to be honest. I don't know whether I've managed it, but great to be here once again. As you mentioned, show 35. Nobody's cancelled us yet. We're doing all right this season, aren't we? Fantastic to again bringing you what we consider, I don't know whether you consider it at home, but we consider to be some of the best community rugby league coverage that you possibly can. We've been looking at the National Conference League, all four divisions, plenty of action, plenty of excitement, plenty of tries, plenty of games, and it's all coming towards an exciting conclusion. We've got playoffs, we've got promotions, we've got relegations. It's all happening, isn't it?
Is it ever? And as usual, lots of it is going down to the last couple of games, even the last games for some of them. Some things have been decided in the sense of teams that have gained promotions and teams that have actually had to say bye-bye and are going down to divisions lower. But we're going to kick off, Dave.
Well, you know what? I think we'll start with our sort of game summaries that we've been bringing you all season, and let's start off with what happened in the Premier Division last week. And I want to start off with West Bowling. They've had an absolutely stellar season and they sealed second spot to set up a qualifying semi-final against Siddle after overcoming Waterhead Warriors. The hosts made a blistering start, racing to a 12-0 lead inside 15 minutes through tries from Lewis Taylor and Elliot Cousins, with Harry Williams adding a conversion and a penalty. Waterhead responded when Danny Bridge crashed over and Keegan Brennan converted, but Wests quickly tightened their grip. Taylor added his second try, followed by efforts from Danny Halmshaw and Ollie Bartle, as Bowling surged 28 points to 6 ahead early in the second half. Waterhead then hit back in quick succession. Brennan improved tries from Callum Murphy and Harrison Dodd to cut the gap to 28-16, but their fight back was abruptly ended. There was 2 yellow cards for Lewis Camden, who played for West Bowling, of course, but the home side, despite that, finished strongly with a late Lewis Maxson try, and William closed the tally with his 5th goal. So the scorers for West Bowling, tries, 2 of them for Lewis Taylor, 1 each for Elliot Cousins, Danny Halmshaw and Ollie Bartle, and Lewis Maxson. 5 goals from the boot of Harry Williams, including that penalty, of course. For Waterhead, tries from Danny Bridge, Callum Murphy and Harrison Dodd weren't quite enough to ensure a winning end to the regular league season. Keegan Brennan hitting 2 goals. Big congratulations there to West Bowling. They have played some fantastic rugby over the course of this season, haven't they, Steve?
They certainly have. I know over the past few seasons we've sort of saw what they've been doing and putting together, and they fell possibly just a little bit short.
We've kind of championed them in a lot of respects, haven't we? Because I remember when they got promoted from Division 1, and it was a similar sort of season to the one that Waterhead sort of enjoyed, like last season in Division 1. So if you like, Waterhead are probably 2 years just behind West Bowling. They've had a couple of years in and around that Premier Division. As you mentioned, fell a little bit short in both of those years, but I've managed to stay well clear from getting relegated, which a lot of promoted sides don't tend to do these days. And they just seem to, like you say, have built and there's a right proper side there now, isn't there? Yeah,
and you always felt in any games that they were going to be involved in, certainly previous to this season, even though they hadn't sustained to sort of reach the finals, as it were, that they were always could trouble anyone. And this season they've put that together and gone on, absolutely superb run. On the other side of that coin, Waterhead Warriors.
They've been brilliant.
Season.
What a fantastic season. I mean, I wonder, whether this has exceeded all expectations. I mean, I expected them to go well this season. But I mean, even at times they have said that they're like, or felt the underdogs when they've been coming up against some of these top sides. And I think I touched on it last week. They've won so many games this season, they can no longer be considered underdogs. They're in there on merit. They've played a fantastic brand of rugby league, very exciting. They've got a great mix of more established, experienced players to add to a younger group of players that are pushing through. They're a team that could go on and dominate this top 5 or 6 in the Premier Division for years to come, as far as I'm concerned.
I'm sure if you'd have said to them at the beginning of the season when they're moving into this league, look, at the end of this, you're going to have a home playoff tie at the end of the season, they would have sort of ripped your arm off for that, and that's what they've got coming up ahead, and it's been a great season. Losing to West Bowling isn't a disgrace by any way, shapes or form. I was watching the highlights of the game there at West Bowling, and one of the comments from one of the Waterhead supporters was that basically West Bowling know how to play the home ground. It's like when we go to Thatterweath, we say they know how to play that pitch very, very well.
It's
West Bowling same.
It's like a 3 or 4G pitch.
That's right.
Isn't it? Like over the. It's a great setting, by the way.
Beautiful.
That is definitely one of the places next season we are going to have to go down and cover a game.
They're really, really good.
It'll be a real treat for you, Steve. That.
The other thing about it, Dave, it was an 6:30 kick-off.
I noticed it was an evening kick-off.
I don't know why, but you've got to take your hats off to both sides to agreeing to do that, to get the game obviously sorted.
Was it an international football weekend or something? Was England
might have been. I wouldn't know.
Did they go head-to-head with England just so that we didn't have to cope with it?
Were they playing Andorra or something like that?
Yeah.
I think they won 2-0 against Andorra. Dear me.
They won 5-0 against Serbia, though.
Oh, whatever. That's all right then, isn't it? Yeah. Doesn't really matter, does it?
This is a rugby league show.
I know, Let's get back to
I can see the way you're looking at me now and say, that Dave's been spending too much time on other radio shows talking about different sports. Get back to the rugby league. Well, that is certainly what we'll do. But again, fair credit to both of these sides. Like you say, West Bowling, they have climbed into one of the premier positions that is in this competition, and Waterhead securing, as you said, that home tie in the playoffs, which is been brilliant. That
excellent. So we move on and to what was another exciting game, and the outcome of it could have been, if it had gone the other way, could have told a totally different story. But it was Westall up against Hunslet ARLFC, and Westall avenged their early defeat at Hunslet with a hard-earned win that ended the champions' playoff hopes. The green and goals hit the front on 17 minutes through Josh Wood, with Eli Wilkinson converting. Hunslet levelled when Ben Shulver powered over and Harry Shackleton improved, but West regained the initiative before the break as Ben Arburn crossed for a 12-6 lead. Just after the restart, Lewis Crowther struck to stretch the advantage to 12, and although Hunslet battled on and responded via Tyler Dargan's try on 67 minutes, it wasn't enough to save the season. So the final score was West Hull 18, Hunslet ARLFC 10. And the scorers for West Hull were tries from Josh Woods, Ben Airborne and Lewis Crowther, and 3 goals from Eli Wilkinson. And for Hunslet, it was tries from Ben Shulver and Tyler Dargan, and just a solitary goal from Harry Shackleton. So Hunslet just falling that little bit short, Parker. Give themselves a lot to do with that early start in the season, didn't they?
They did, yeah. I mean, when we looked at the table after about 8 or 9 matches, they're in the bottom 3, aren't they? So the second half of the season has been almost Lazarus-like, hasn't it?
Yeah.
With the way that they've sort of risen from nowhere to just fall ever so short of getting in the playoffs. It was, as you said, probably one step too far, and they probably lost a couple of games in that whole run towards the start of the season that they're wishing that they could have reversed the result, and we could have been talking, as you said, about something completely different. So it definitely means that we're going to get a new name lifting the National Conference League Premier Division title at the end of the year, which for me is such an exciting prospect. I mean, what they've built in Hunslet has been nothing short of a dynasty as far as community rugby league is concerned, and I saw that start. I mean, there'll be people listening to the podcast now who will be thinking, hang on, it started a bit earlier than that day. But my first sort of like sight of this Hunslet side was in Division 2 in 2016, and they were playing in the same league as Leigh East. And my first game covering Leigh East was actually played at Hunslet. And Leigh East looked like they were going to win that, because they led by 25 points to 24 with 12 minutes remaining. Full-time score, Hunslet 48.
Wow.
Leigh East 25.
Yeah.
And I thought at that stage, this is a team that is going places. And obviously they got promoted into Division 1 in end of 2016, bounced from 2017 into the Prem and went unbeaten.
That's right,
to win the whole thing, and they've been thereabouts ever since, haven't they? They did a 3-peat, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
and we were wondering whether they could do the 4-peat, and they can't as it stands. But brilliant story.
And what we've got to take into that as well, Parky, there was a merger.
Yeah, there was.
Which could have really scuppered it all together. To be fair,
and some people suggesting that the Hunslet side should have started in the bottom division again after the merger. How daft would that have been?
Because they'd have just been they'd be doing an East Leeds now, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they would have done
I'm sure.
They would have done exactly the same. Credit to West Hull as well, because over the last month their form has been a little bit sticky, bit wobbly, and this just shows that you can't discount them at all when they're heading into the playoffs. Obviously, they've got previous for going deep into playoff rugby league at this end of the season, and again, they've got some talented younger players that are coming through, and great to hear the name Ben Arbon, who was a National Conference League Player of the Year a couple of years ago, coming up with some real pivotal and important form for West Hull.
Yeah, I mean the scorers in general in that match, there are a lot of recognised names, aren't there?
Moving on, and Rochdale Mayfield that have stormed into the top 6. Their form over the last month and a half has been nothing short of superb, and they were over at Wharfbrow Hornets and secured their place in the elimination semi-finals with a strong victory away at what was a youthful Hornets side. The Hornets, who fielded 6 under-18s, took an early lead through Owen McCartney. That was converted by Greg Rooney, but Mayfield hit back in style, moving 22-6 ahead by the half hour, thanks to a brace of tries from Deacon Connolly and further tries from Dex Sheridan and Tyrone Chipchase. We've been mentioning him all season. Wharfbrow briefly rallied with tries from Matty Creasy, fantastic lad, great young player. Looking forward to seeing how he develops, certainly over the next few years, in that Wharfbrow Hornets first team. Jamie McAllister also got over the line either side of the break, both of which were improved by Rooney, but Mayfield proved too strong. Jack Green crossed before Ben Metcalf. We mentioned him quite a lot over recent weeks, so he's been getting in on the tries as young Ben. Jordan Parr and a second try from Chipchase. They sealed the game. Cole Connolly kicked 6 goals in an excellent team display. And a reminder that final score was Wharfbrow Hornets 16, Rochdale Mayfield 44. And Wharfbrow with tries from Owen McCartney, Matty Creasy, Jamie McAllister, 2 goals from the boot of Greg Rooney. And for Rochdale Mayfield, 2 tries from Deacon Connolly, 1 each from Dex Sheridan, Jack Green, Ben Metcalf and Jordan Parr, 2 tries from Tyrone Chipchase, of course, 6 goals from the boot of Cole Connolly. This late form that Rochdale Mayfield have been on, absolutely fantastic. I do know that both of the coaches at the first team level are stepping down at the end of the season. Could they yet step down with a National Conference League Championship under the belt? They're a bolter. The way that they've been going, they're a bolter, and I wouldn't totally discount them. Imagine if we go down to a playoff semi-final that is between Rochdale Mayfield and Waterhead.
You mentioned that on the air. You know, there's going to be. You can feel the shudder now in that neck of the woods just as mentioning that.
You know what? Bring it on. That's all I say. Bring it on. But you know, whoever's made this top six, they've earned it on merit, and these are the games that we've got to look forward to over the next sort of 2 or 3 weeks, aren't they?
They certainly are. Meanwhile, Dewsbury Maroons waved farewell to their time in the top division when they took on Siddle at home, and the minor premiers ended the regular season with a convincing victory at already relegated Dewsbury Moor. The Maroons struck first through Felix Ellis, and after Mason Scott responded, an Aidan Innocent try and Bradley Foster conversion kept the hosts in touch at 18 points to 10 down at half time. But Siddle took control after the restart, with Scott adding the second try and further efforts from Michael Holmes, Declan Napping and Joe Lewis. Jacob Rushworth was outstanding, scoring a try and kicking 6 goals, while Foster's late goal was little consolation for Moore, who closed the year winless in their last 6. So the scorers for Dewsbury Moor Maroons, tries came from Felix Ellis, Aidan Inson, goals from Bradley Foster, and a field goal from Foster as well. For Siddle, it was 2 tries from Mason Scott, 1 for Michael Holmes, Declan Napping, Joe Lewis, Jacob Rushworth, and Jacob Rushworth was also on hand with the boot when kicking 6 goals. So Dewsbury Moor, I mean, they've spent the time in there, they know what it's like now, so they can take that experience back into the first and use that.
They'll definitely use it as a positive, you know, and I think as well that they'll be there or thereabouts knocking on the door for promotion next season. We've seen Heworth, you know, what they've done this year, and I'm thinking that Dewsbury Moor will be looking over at what Heworth have done, thinking, yeah, we'll have a bit of that. We can do that. For Siddle, I know they mixed it up a little bit. They did have a few players that were unavailable, so they actually dipped into their A team, which is also, don't get me wrong, a very, very strong team. And for me, the big story there involves Joe Lewis. I went to Serbia with Joe last year with the England Community Lions under-19s. Fantastic guy. The news coming out of the club, and this is where I can drop him a social media news story, of course. You know I like me social media. Joe's actually been appointed under-18s coach.
Really?
Of Siddle next season.
Wow.
Now this is a lad that's only 20, 21 himself.
That's good, isn't it? It's good.
So, but I knew when I met him, there's an old head on young shoulders.
Yeah, and you spot those, don't you? You just know.
And he was fantastic. I remember we and I'm sharing secrets are on. So I might have even talked about it last year. So perhaps I'm not giving that much of a secret away. But I remember he'd had a really good game in one of the games that we played, and I think it was Radio Leeds that got in touch and said, "Can we do an interview with him?" You know, because like he's this little lad and we want to speak to. And I'm like thinking, oh yeah, I'm loving this. So I went and set it up with him. Said, yeah, no problem. He arrived at, knocked on the room door. Opened up a good 20 minutes before the interview, so like I'm briefing him and sort of like give him what I'm thinking would be good advice as someone that's interviewed quite a lot of people down the years and whatnot, and saying I don't know what they're going to ask you, no idea, they've not, but I'm showing him all the sort of like
just making him feel at ease for the
communication and making him feel at ease. Anyway, no matter what we tried, we couldn't get connected. Unfortunately, with England, where it was either they couldn't get the signal and I couldn't get the signal. We half ended up speaking to each other, and then there was nothing, and it was like, oh my god, this is so. I feel bad because I've dragged him away from I think the rest of the lads had, maybe they'd maybe gone out swimming or something like that.
No, they're upside of a mountain looking at a church. That's where they were. That's why you came. He knew that was on.
And I'm thinking, I've got him to split from his teammates here. Like he could be enjoying anybody else's company, but sitting here with a pair of headphones on the phone, like waiting to get on. So I felt that sorry for him. I thought I'm going to do an interview with him. So I remember I recorded an interview that we played out on our show last year, and I was so impressed with how he came across in that. And then I remember him saying to me about 2 or 3 days after we got home, He said, Dave, I've been interviewed by Radio Leeds now. They've caught up with me, and it's on this thing. And he copied the thing in and
the link,
the link, and he gave us a mention on his interview, which I thought was really, really nice of him, really, to be honest. So, top lad, I think he'll do a really, really good job. But I'm thinking, putting the coaching hat on at 20, 21 years of age, you're keen on, Joe, but I wish you all the best. And of course, we have got to praise Siddle for, again, proving to be top of the tree and the most consistent side. That's 2 seasons running where, when it's come down to the league campaign, they've been bob on, haven't they?
What they've got to do now is try and take that one step farther this year, haven't they?
Well, they have. I mean, they got beat in the grand final last year, didn't they? You know, so it's one more. But I'm sure they'll be looking at their qualifying semi-final, which isn't being played this weekend. It's being played next weekend, and that'll be up against West Bowling, of course, who finished in that second spot. But it's been a season to remember, yet another season to remember for Siddle. So it's my turn again, isn't it?
It certainly is, man.
I'm just thinking, Fatto Heath Crusaders, wow, what an end to the season they've had as well. And it helps when they've got a couple of home games in the mix as well, because as we've commented throughout the season, they've been a class apart when they've been playing at home.
Definitely.
They sealed their own playoff spot with a dominant home win against York Acorn. The Crusaders flew out of the blocks with 3 unanswered tries from Sean Kenny, Adam Saunders and Ryan Horton before Acorn responded late in the first half through Josh Parker, who also converted. After the break, though, Thatto ran riot with scores for Sean Lester, Andy Lee, Dave Pike, a second try for Saunders, and Keane Guilford also getting in on the act. Horton proved deadly with the boot, finishing in total with 7 goals, while Parker was able to cross again for Acorn late on, converting his own try, but it was a little more than consolation. It finished Thatto Heath Crusaders 46, York Acorn 12. And again, I repeated them scorers for Thatto Heath Crusaders: 2 tries from Adam Saunders, 1 each for Sean Kenny, Ryan Horton, Sean Lester, Andy Lee, Dave Pike, Keane Guilford, with Ryan Horton hitting 7 goals. York Acorn, well, for them really it was the Josh Parker show. 2 tries and 2 goals for Josh, but ultimately Acorn bowing out of the season. I mean, they secured their place in the Premier Division for another season, but and they've had that change in coach, so there has been a bit of a change going on there.
Yeah, so to a certain degree, and they've stayed away from that relegation zone.
They have. They finished. They finished well clear, really. Haven't they? I mean, 3 points clear of it. I know that when you look at the league table, it will show them, down in 9th position. And I'm sure they'll want to, improve on that. And certainly, if you compare that with the previous couple of years in the Premier Division, where they finished 6th and in the playoffs, it's probably a downturn for them ultimately, but it's a big thing when you're changing coaches and stuff, and it can be pivotal, and then it depends on a number of other things: injury, suspensions, players that you've got coming in, new guys that are starting to
things have got to settle down and get back to a more settled structure, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, I do admire a lot of what York Acorn have done over the last few years, and you get to a certain point where it starts to bottom out a bit and you need to then build again, and it's how you reinvigorate yourself. And I think that is kind of where York Acorn are. They can choose in future years to stay around that sort of mid-table, or they can push again towards the playoffs, and I certainly hope that it's the latter. For Thatto, it just seems like they haven't been in the playoffs for quite some time, and I think it might only be a year or 2 years, but it just seems like for a long time they've underperformed. We can't say that about this season. They've really, particularly over the last couple of months, they've found that consistency that was missing towards the start of the season.
Well, I think the thing with the start of the season towards the middle, and maybe just slightly beyond it, was their away form was so up and down. It was like it was 2 different teams. It was unbelievable. But then towards the end of the season, I think they may have only lost 1 away match, and they've started to put things together. And that, to a certain degree, so that you think, well, that's a team that's, just coming into form in the right time, isn't it?
They're a dangerous side when you chuck into the fact playoff rugby league. They're certainly a side that can score points. They're a side that can also concede them as well, as we've found. And I'm sure that Waterhead will be looking forward to playing against them at the weekend and sort of wondering
it's going to be a game and a half,
which team will turn up. But I'm figuring they're a different animal in these closing stages of the season.
I agree with you. I think they've got things more settled as it's got towards the end.
I think that's a really good shout, to be honest, Steve.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Lot Lane, they were up against Leigh Miners Rangers, so it was the battle of the bottom teams. And Lot Lane finished their season on a high, running in 9 tries against fellow relegated side Leigh Miners Rangers. Lewis Price led the way with a hat-trick, while Morgan Jones, Alex Cowley, Leighton Davis and Brandon Worsley and Rob Morgan and Leo Skerris-Evans also touched down. Connor Jordan kicked all 6 goals, with Nathan Fozzard adding another. Miners were level at 10-10 midway through the first half, thanks to tries from Jacob Faramond and Jack Hamer, but the hosts then pulled clear, and although Noah Lancelot grabbed a brace in the second half, with goals from Liam Kenyon and Joe Tyra, Lot Lane were too strong on the day. Scorers for Lot Lane were 3 for Lewis Price, Morgan Jones, Alex Cowley, Leighton Davis, Brandon Worsley, Rob Morgan, Leo Skerris-Evans, all weighed in with 1 each. Connor Jordan was on hand with 6 goals, and Nathan Fozzard added 1. Leigh Miners Rangers tries came from Jacob Faramond, Jack Hamer, and 2 from Noah Lancelot. Goals came from Liam Kenyon with 1 and Joe Tyra with 1. So big win there for Lot Lane, and bit of news on the back of this, Parky, isn't there?
Yeah, it was the end of an era, and I know that he stepped down briefly from the head coach's position about 12-18 months ago now, but Paul Couch has stepped down again. He's finishing as head coach of Lot Lane. Got mixed views on this, because obviously I know Couchy, and I know how much this season would have hurt him in particular, because he's only ever wanted the very best for Lot Lane, and for a long time they've been amongst the very best. They've been fantastic the way they've gone about the business. So he has stepped down, and they've appointed his assistant, Brad Roberts, as head coach for 2026. Brad himself is a really nice guy. I spoke to him right at the start of this season when they had that combined training session at Dewsbury Rams. Seemed an awful long time ago, that now. I think it was about a week into the new year, and it was bloody freezing that night. It was one of those where I was getting icicles on my fingers. It was that cold, and remember when I went round at the start of the season with the camera and the microphone and everything. I had to do one of the interviews twice because the button had got stuck. anyway, they coped with that. This amateur guy who's interviewing and stuff. I'm gutted that it's ended in this way with relegation for Couchy. As I said, fantastic fella, got so much time for him. He's been really good with what he's done for us and for me, and getting to work alongside him and see just how much he puts into his rugby league. The results just didn't go his way this season. Sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles, isn't it? Unfortunately. I'm glad that Lot Lane have seen him out with a victory.
Yeah. A good victory as well, let's be honest.
Big win.
Yeah.
And I remember having a conversation with him earlier this year, and he said that in all these years being a coach of Lot Lane, he hadn't won a game at Leigh Miners.
That's right, yeah.
So he's finally got that one off his back now. The monkey's gone. Lot Lane bowing out of the top division of the National Conference League for the time being. And Brad Roberts heading into that. So our very best wishes for Brad, and very best wishes for Paul Couch as well, for whatever comes next.
Yeah, and I'm sure we will catch up with him very, very soon. And we could hopefully, try and have a chat with him about his feelings on the thing.
Yeah, it would be nice to have a chat with him about that. But again, Paul, thank you for everything that you've done for me over the last couple of years as well. When you was involved also with the England Community Alliance alongside myself, and
that's something he's got to be massively proud of, isn't it, at the end of the day?
I mean,
it was huge. Huge.
That was huge. And the way that, though, as I said, what made it all the more sweet was the way that at every single turn they were doing down these lads with these Aussies, and they were thinking that they're going to roll over and get the tummy tickled. And it was never, ever going to be that way.
No.
And knowing how much, as I say, Paul and all the players in the squad, and the likes of Chris Siddons as well, he was a Lot Lane legend who's funnily enough been playing out in Western Australia now. And Lewis Price, of course, we've mentioned there, scoring a hat-trick. It was great sort of getting to know them guys as well as part of it. Really, really good people, good people, and Lot Lane will be back at some point. Yeah,
very much. Moving on to Division 1, let's have a look what we've got in there. Well, Wigan St Judes, they keep winning 9 in a row, and their promotion is now secured. Heworth grind out another close win to stay in contention. Ince Rosebridge surged in the derby against Pats. Woolston left themselves with a big win over Hulton. Crossfield, though, relegation is confirmed after a defeat by Kells, and Stanningley win a thriller at Oldham St Anne's to nail down a playoff spot. So Wigan St Jude's first up against Egremont Rangers.
Yeah, I mean 40 points to 18 St Jude's won in the end, and the promotion chasing St Jude's sealed their place in the Division 1's top 2, stretching that winning run, as Steve mentioned, to 9 matches. And it was a pretty convincing win as well against Egremont Rangers. So Judes flew out of the blocks. They stormed to a 12-0 lead inside the first 5 minutes. Quick fire tries from James Worthington and Connor Parkinson were both improved by Danny Fallon. Rangers responded, though, through Lachlan McDowell and Brad Long, both of which were converted by Matt Beech. But Parkinson's second try ensured Judes held the advantage at the break. In the second half, it was all Judes. Their class shone through as Dean Meadows, Callum Palmer with 2 and Sam Goldthorpe all crossed to wrap up the points. Egremont, however, to their credit, kept battling, with Fraser McNee grabbing a late try, which was also improved by Beech, but the Cumbrians now currently sit a point outside of the playoff positions. So St Jude's 2 tries from Connor Parkinson, 1 try each from James Worthington, Dean Meadows and Sam Goldthorpe, 2 tries from Callum Palmer, 6 goals from the boot of Danny Fallon. And for Egremont Rangers, Lachlan McDowell, the Australian, Brad Long and Fraser McNee were the try scorers, Matt Beech adding 3 goals. It's been a season to remember, hasn't it, for St Jude's?
Certainly has.
Do we call it doing a Hunslet if they're bouncing up like that, or do we call it doing a Waterhead? Because I mean, they've done exactly the same, haven't they?
Yeah. But to be fair, no disrespect. I mean, every time we've seen them play, they played some absolutely beautiful rugby league. And I know when I was watching them and they played Ince Rosebridge, that was a battle. Great support for both sides. It was a really, really good game. But they're another team who know how to play their pitch at all. It has its little quirks, and sort of the way the wind blows, the way it slopes ever so slightly one way. They know how to play it. They've good kicking game with it. But all round they've been superb. And obviously, no Mr. Cassidy.
No, he's now playing rugby union.
That's right.
Bit of kick and clap for Mr. Cassidy.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on, and
it's Shawcross Sharks. They were up against Heworth, and they maintained the pressure on leaders Wigan St Jude with an 8th straight victory, edging a low-scoring thriller at Shawcross Sharks. The Sharks struck first through Ben Land and later landed again via Max Sheard, but neither effort was converted. Heworth responded with a first-half try for Harrison Briggs, improved by George Elliott, before the game descended into controversy. On the 73rd minute, an altercation saw Sharks Harrison Sutcliffe and Heworth's Ali Axe sent off. Moments later, Elliott pounced for the decisive score, improved by Jack Sadler, to turn the game. A late red card was followed by Sharks coach Matt Bramall being dismissed from the touchline from dissent as the villagers celebrated a vital 2 points. Scorers there for Shawcross Shark was Ben Land and Max Sheard, and with tries. Heworth's tries came from Harrison Briggs, George Elliott and George Elliott was on hand with a goal along with Jack Sadler.
Got to say with this game, Steve, I mean, this was like the rugby league version of collect your cards, wasn't it?
Yeah, just
play your cards right.
Just point out the final score was Shawcross Sharks 8, Heworth 12. Matt Bramall being dismissed. He's the nicest of blokes I've ever spoken to be honest. So there must have been some controversy there.
But yeah, definitely getting cards shown left, right, and centre. But as you mentioned there, it keeps them really, really well placed, doesn't it? You know, and let me just have a.
Well, I know the Heworth, the fixture at the end of that's got to finish is Judes against Heworth, and obviously whoever wins that will go up as champions.
We've got 2 games remaining, haven't we? Is it 2? We've got 2 games remaining in the season, and you've got St Jude's 35 points, 17 wins, 2 losses and a draw, against Heworth 17 wins, 3 losses. There ain't much between them. Heworth are 40 points better in the defence, not letting points in. Wigan St Jude's are about 60 better in their attack, but it's still pretty close that really, isn't it? You know, and they have been, both of those sides, really, really good. How important is this particular victory going to be, though, against Shawcross?
The thing is that it's so tight as well, but it just shows that they can go and do that. I mean, it's interesting, the sendings off. I think we were talking about this last week, that there have been more red cards and yellow cards towards the end of the season, that there'd been. Yeah, to be
fair, discipline has been really, really good this season on the whole, and the last couple of weeks I've just seen so many cards shown. I don't know what's happened. Anybody think that this part of the season really, really mattered?
It's as you come towards the end of the season, I think it happens, because I was sat near somebody off the RFL disciplinary board today who actually said the same sort of thing as you've just said. So it makes you think, is it the players thinking, it's the end of the season, you know, let's
I'll have a longer pre-season. Okay, I'll get myself banned.
Some more than others if you play for Hull, or don't play for Hull anymore after your ban started.
That's another rugby league story entirely, isn't it? That one. Right, but I tell you another feel-good story from the National Conference League this season has been the form of Ince Bridge. Long time they were challenging right at the top of this division. They look likely to finish in 3rd position now. They can't be caught, so they have finished in 3rd position. And this was another local derby for Ince Bridge, playing this time against Wigan St Pat's.
There's a Wigan local derby every other week, I think.
This derby though is so close with the way the proximity between these two clubs, in fairness. And Ince Bridge got the better of their neighbours St Pat's in a fiery local derby, which swung one way and then the other. Pats, who won the reverse fixture earlier in the season, looked good value for a 22-18 lead early in the second half. That was thanks to a brace of tries from Lance Wright and other scores from Adam O'Neill and Jonah Taylor, and three goals from the boot of Brad Smith. But Bridge finished strongest with Mason Fillingham, Callum Hughes completed another hat-trick, and Casey Shaw all scoring to turn the game. Peter Valentine also crossed the line, while Fillingham kept the scoreboard ticking with 6 goals in total. It marked a 4th straight victory for Ince Bridge, while St Pat's slipped further from the playoff spots with a 3rd successive defeat. So a reminder of those scorers in a 36 points to 22 victory for Ince Bridge. A hat-trick from Callum Hughes. That fella just knows where that line is, doesn't he? Mason Fillingham, Peter Valentine and Casey Shaw with other tries. Mason Fillingham, who has certainly found his range over recent weeks with the goal kicking, adding a further 6 goals to his tally. For Wigan St Pat's, 2 tries from Lance Wright, 1 each from Adam O'Neill and Jonah Taylor, 3 goals from the boot of Brad Smith.
The thing is with Callum Hughes, he's a tall guy. He's a big unit for a winger, isn't he? As well, so it doesn't surprise me that he scores as many as he does, and he's not frightened of coming inside and taking on the centres or or the second row as well, and cutting in there.
Yeah, genuinely, he's a player that I really enjoy watching at National Conference League level as well. He has scored, get this,
Go on.
24 tries in 14 appearances.
Really?
Yeah, and had he not got, we're talking about cards, had he not got sent off earlier in the season, he'd probably have another couple of games to his tally.
You've got to take your hat off to the coaches there for Ince Rose Bridge, because obviously they're using these attributes fully. Like I've said, a couple of times I've said...
You've got to play to your strengths, haven't you? And he is a real strength.
Yeah, and they're using it, and rightly so.
We mentioned about Mason Fillingham, by the way. He's now gone past 50 goals for the season for Ince Rose Bridge. Strangely enough, as it stands at the moment, the aforementioned missing Danny Cassidy has kicked 57 goals for Wigan St Judes this season, and 2 drop goals for good measure. So he's the guy that's currently on top of the goal-kicking charts. But closing in, as well as Fillingham, is Matty Whitehead from Oldham St Anne's with 52. Ross Gainford is there with 32 goals, so he's not going to overtake him this season. But it seems like it's dare I say it, a shootout between Fillingham and Whitehead for if they can overtake Danny Cassidy.
Isn't that a kick-off?
Could be a kick. Well, we don't want to talk about kick-offs though.
By the sounds of things, it's kicking off everywhere in these games lately.
We've already mentioned about the sending offs. We don't need any more kick-offs, thank you very much. Certainly not from the disciplinary committee point of view. Right.
Well, Woolston Rovers, they finished the season. Obviously, they've been relegated along with the team that were playing Oulton Raiders, so it was a bottom of the basement playoff, as it were. And Woolston Rovers actually climbed off the foot of the table and dragged Oulton Raiders into the bottom spot with a spirited comeback win, despite losing Harry Files to the sin bin for descent.
Another card?
Another one, I don't know. Woolston overturned a 26-10 deficit early in the second half. Tries from Lewis Dawson and Ryan Paling kept them in the hunt before Files returned to inspire his side with a brace of tries alongside the efforts of Ryan Brown, who got 2, and Tom Ferguson adding 1. Brown also kicked 5 goals to complete a memorable win. Oulton had built their lead through scores from Kean Watson, Kieran Walpole, Rhys Swallow, John Horan and Tom Lunn. They did 3 goals from Archie Craggs. However, the Raiders unravelled, finishing the game with Harvey Stevens sin bin for a dangerous tackle.
What, another one?
Another one. Scorers, Woolston Rovers, 2 for Ryan Brown, 2 for Harry Files, Lewis Dawson and Ryan Paling weighed in with 1 each, along with Tom Ferguson, and Ryan Barn kicked 5 goals. For Oulton Raiders, Kean Watson, Kieran Walpole, Rhys Swallow, Joe Horan, Tom Lunn all weighed in with 1 try each. Archie Craggs kicked 3 goals. What surprised me looking at that Ryan Brown, it's probably one of the first games he's not been sin binned, because when I used to go watching them, obviously because as I said they're very local to me, he was off like absolute clockwork.
You know what, though? I think Ryan has really grown into this season, and while a lot of players have struggled around him, he seems to have really picked up his levels. I think they've been playing him a lot at half-back this season, which seems to have really suited his game, and I'm looking forward to seeing it over the next couple of seasons, how he cements that position. Because, I mean, I guess if you've not really played in that position, you're going to take a season to adjust to it, aren't you? So I'm looking forward to seeing it. To be honest, both of these sides go in Division 2 next season. They'll both have hopes of, being able to regroup and sort of get themselves organised again. And, fair play, they both kept things going right till the end, and I deserved late winning the season for Woolston Rovers, though.
Yeah.
Moving on, and Kells, they have ran absolute riot this weekend. They've beaten Crossfields by an odd scoreline, 64 points to 7. When I got this sent through, I thought surely somebody's done a typo.
Got wrong here,
and then I checked the team sheet, and it is actually right. So Kells ran riot to banish any relegation fears. Surely they were never any relegation fears. Who writes this stuff?
I suppose it's one of those things where mathematically,
yes, they were they still weren't ensured of their spot. But who writes this stuff? They consigned Crossfields to demotion after inflicting a heavy defeat. Soap actually struck first through Luke Walker. That was improved by Brad Stanway, but from that point it was all Kells. Kieran Halcrow Grant Gainford and Harley Nelson all grabbed 2 tries each, while further scores came from Harry Watson, Blaine Graham, Oscar Cook, Lewis Smith and Will Ennis. Ross Gainford had an excellent day with the booting 10 goals in what was a commanding team display. Crossfield's only other highlight, I'm not sure whether you can call this a highlight to be honest, was Stanway striking a late drop goal, but it was little consolation as their 6th successive defeat sealed their fate. What actually would have possessed Brad Stanway to drop a goal when they're trailing 64-6?
I think it's one of those out of not frustration, but I can't be bothered type of thing. I'm just going to have a go at drop goal here. It makes no difference. So
it made for a really odd scoreline.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's talking points, isn't it?
It's definitely a talking point, and one thing that Brad likes to give us, it's talking points, isn't it? But 64-7 and tries for Kells from Kieran Hogcrow with 2 for Grant Gainford, 2 for Harley Nelson, 1 each for Harry Watson, Blaine Graham, Oscar Cook, and Lewis Smith and Will Ennis. 10 goals in a profitable afternoon for Ross Gainford. For Crossfields, as we mentioned, Luke Walker opening the score with that try, Brad Stanway with a goal, and of course a drop goal.
I would love to know whether Crossfield scorer's middle name is Sky.
Why?
Well, what would his name be? Well, what's his name, the try scorer?
Luke Skywalker. Oh, I see what you did there.
See, so
are you trying to get us to do another May the Force be with you?
May the 4th, they started playing rugby.
I did this on Radio Cumbria coverage the other week where we started going on about Star Wars. You're just trying to drag me down a Star Wars foxhole again, aren't you? Well, I'm with the rebellion on this one.
Oh. And there's me, I just thought you had asthma. I'm your father, Luke. Oldham St Anne's, they were up against Stanningley, and Stanningley obviously have been one of the teams of the season, and I think you've just got to keep an eye on them because they had a pulsating clash. So Stanningley edged Oldham St Anne's in a late drama-filled thriller to keep themselves in the promotion mix. The visitors dominated the first half, racing into a 16-4 lead with tries from Jeremy Wiscombe, Jack Vincent and Luke Townend, while Saints replied through Charlie McManus. The game turned after the break with Michael Cashin and Joe Hartley scoring twice, putting Oldham in front 23 points to 16 with less than 5 minutes left. Mark Whitehead added 3 goals and drop goal to complete the comeback, but there was still time for the twist. Stanningley stormed with tries from Townend again, Adam Butterell and Nathan Stone, with Zach Clayton adding the extras. Hartley completed his hat-trick in stoppage time, but it was too late to deny the visitors. Both sides saw yellow in the first half, with Josh Tyndall for St Anne's and Jermaine Ruane for Stanningley sent to the sin bin for fighting. So scorers for Oldham St Anne's were a hat-trick for Joe Hartley, Charlie McManus, Michael Cashin getting in with a try each, Michael Whitehead scoring 3 goals and also a drop goal. Stanningley, Luke Townend, 2 goals for him, Jeremy Wiscombe, Jack Vincent, Adam Butterell, Nathan Stone all went in with a single each. Adam Butterell, Zach Clayton on hand with goals. Clayton getting 3.
Great. Another great win, like you mentioned, for Stanningley, and that has all but cemented 4th spot for them. So they'll get a home tie in the playoffs. So that's a really important progression, I suppose, as far as what Stanningley are concerned. They've been really, really good at times this season, haven't they? And even in defeat, when we saw them
just going to say exactly
they
that.
were very good in defeat as well, weren't they? So they've been thereabouts in so many of their games.
I mean, when we saw that game, we said, wow, there's certainly something to build on there, and that has been the case. Certainly has been the case.
Let's talk about Division 2, shall we? So in this one, East Leeds storming to yet another huge win. And I know it says in our notes, champions now confirmed, but I think, to be honest, it was confirmed about 6 weeks ago, wasn't it? So we knew that. But another team that has secured automatic promotion is Dewsbury Celtic. So what a season they have had. Thornhill Trojans, well, we spoke to them a few weeks ago when they played at Clockface, and I mentioned that they needed to, a few wins, and unfortunately their latest defeat has seen them relegated.
Interesting fact, that came across my eyes yesterday, and it's only through me following the obviously the teams here, and through us following the obviously last season, the season before, doing the Yorkshire Men's League. There's a series which has been on for a couple of years now called Educating Yorkshire.
Okay.
Yeah, and the school that's on there.
Is it Thornhill Primary or something?
I think it's like Thornhill Community or whatever. And it was only when I was watching it yesterday that the name of the school come on. At Thornhill, I thought, Thornhill, Yorkshire. Oh my gosh! Oh my God! So watch it. I've got an even deeper connection with it now.
It's probably one of those which is only a few hundred metres from where the ground is.
I wouldn't be surprised. But I tell you what, it's a big facility. There's over 1,000 kids go in there.
So that'll be like summing up how you see a lot of these clubs. They're like schools.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Over 100 teachers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
See, they need to be knocking on the door to Great Britain teachers, don't they, to see whether any of them want to play rugby league next year, if there's so many of them.
We digress, though.
We do, yes. So Thornhill, unfortunately, relegated after their latest defeat to Normanton. There was a bit of controversy in Barrow Island and Ellenborough. We'll tell you a little bit about that as we get into the match reports. Clockface have edged Hensingham in what was a vital playoff battle. Pilks Rex getting back to winning ways, and then all of the other relegation spots all confirmed.
Yeah, and Dewsbury Celtic, as we were saying there, have got their promotion, and they had a big win against Hull Dockers, 48 points to 4, and they clinched automatic promotion in style, sealing second place with a resounding win over Hull Dockers, who could only muster a 15-man squad. The visitors actually stunned the home side in the opening minute when Kai Barlett crashed over for the first try. From there, though, it was only one-way traffic as Celtic powered through with a mix of pace and power. Callum Wilkins grabbed a brace, while Billy Yarrow, Casey Canterbury, Alex Whiteman, Nathan Waring, Drew Judge Clark, Dom Senior and Joe Mitchell all added tries. Jordan Nurse was on target with 6 goals to round off a dominant display and secure Celtic's promotion back to Division 1. So scorers for Dewsbury Celtic was Callum Wilkins with 2, Billy Yarrow, Casey Canterbury, Alex Whiteman, Nathan Waring, Drew Judge Clark, Dom Senior, Joe Mitchell, all adding with a try piece, and Jordan Hurst was on hand with 6 goals. For Hull Dockers, it was just a single try from Kai Bartlett. Dewsbury Celtic was saying that they've, from a defensive point of view, they've carried on that, and no disrespect to Hull Dockers, they've kept them down to just a statutory 4 points, and if they've got a good defence like that, it's always going to stand them in a good stead.
Oh, it is, yeah. But it's also what they've been able to do. I think their attack has been somewhat understated this year.
Yeah.
As well. I mean, everybody talks about the defence, and why not? I mean, they have been fantastic, but they have got some good attackers, haven't they?
Yeah.
We've spoken of them over the course of the season. Jordan Hurst, of course, 14 tries, top try scorer, top goal kicker as well with 67, 190 points. He's added this season. What a season to remember for him. Casey Canterbury, you mentioned, he's got 10 tries this season. It seems like we've been mentioning Billy Yarrow every single week.
Yeah.
He's only scored 9 tries, but he's been involved in so many others.
Yeah.
And then when you look at some of the other try scorers, they've definitely been shared around. So you've got Dane Winrow with 9, Josh Frame with 7, Joe Mitchell with 6, likes of Bailey Arnold with 5 tries, Lewis Teal with 5 tries. And sometimes we only talk about these sides that are really heavy scorers, and we miss out sides like this where points are kind of shared around.
Yeah,
and that
very much. Yeah,
shows how much of a together team spirit that they've had, and really well done to the coaching staff there. I mean, we spoke to Scott Dyson earlier on in the season. Scott's done a tremendous job there. Wonderful season, a memorable one, and I hope they go on to take Division 1 by storm next season.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll give a massive account of themselves. I saw them against Clockface about a month ago, I think it was, thereabouts, and they were very, very good, I must admit, very good.
From one end of the table to the other, and Thornhill Trojans relegation was confirmed, we mentioned it before, following a spirited but ultimately unsuccessful display against playoff chasing Normanton Knights. The Knights flew into a 10-0 lead inside the first 10 minutes with tries from Sam Butler and Andrew Travers. And Thornhill, they fought back strongly with a brace of tries from Johnny Campbell and further scores from Bailey Lee and Zach Haig, 3 of which were improved by Sam Ratcliffe. That turned the game in their favour at 22-20 with just over 10 minutes left. The question was, could they hang on? But it was the visitors that finished with a flourish. Late tries came via Alfie Beresford, Adam Crowther and Alex Barker, which sealed the victory, with Charlie Barker landing 2 of his 3 conversions. Earlier, Stuart Biscombe had also crossed for the Knights. So this one finished Thornhill Trojans 22, Northampton Knights 36. And the Trojans scorers were 2 tries from Johnny Campbell, 1 each from Bailey Lee and Zach Haig, with 3 goals from the boot of Sam Ratcliffe. Northampton Knights, again, always a side that shares around their scores. Sam Butler, Andrew Travers, Charlie Barker, Stuart Biscombe, Alfie Beresford, Adam Crowther and Alex Barker scoring the tries. Charlie Barker adding 3 goals.
Interesting. And we move on to, Barrow Island were taking on Ellenborough Rangers. And it all ended in a little bit of controversy. And Barrow Island and Ellenborough shared the spoils in this tense Cumbrian derby that ended with a little bit of a mystery. Relegated Rangers have made it a bright start, with Zach Olstrom and Jordan Austell both touching down, each converted by Roscoe Ocassini, to establish a 12-0 lead early in the second half. Barrow went back through Jake Stockdale and Cam Curry, with Finn Dutton Rosconi improving both efforts to level the contest. The Islanders thought they had clinched the win when Dutton Rosconi's late penalty appeared to bounce off the uprights, but the referee waved play on, ruling the effort out and confirming a 12-all draw. Scorers for Barrow Island, Jake Stockdale, Cam Curry with the tries, and Finn Dutton Rosconi with 2 goals. Ellenborough Rangers scorers were Zach Olstrom and Jack Austell, and Roscoe Ocassini with 2 goals. So I believe that Barrow Island thought that it had actually gone over.
Yeah, well, the referee's probably best placed of anybody, isn't it, to sort of award it or not. And seeing as we've got no video footage, we can't actually review that ourselves.
Not only that, Parky, we ourselves, I think it was against Clockface.
They did look like there was a goal that was kicked, wasn't there?
We both looked at each other and said that went over, and but obviously the referee was behind the sticks at the time, and they're the best ones to judge it. They're the closest to the decision, as it were.
A win there for Barrow Island would have put them level on points with 7th place Riglington, and above them, still adding pressure for a top 6 spot. Mathematically they can still do it, because of course they have 2 games left to play.
That's right, yeah.
Before their season comes to an end. And I think we mentioned this last week, that we were looking at potentially the season get extended by a week, and then the playoffs as a result starting a week later, which is what has eventuated. But yeah, it just shows, doesn't it, when you're sometimes having one of those losing seasons, perhaps those little things don't go for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sounds like a thriller of a game, though. that does. And this one was also a thriller as well. Clockface Miners edging past playoff hopefuls Hensingam in a tight contest to leapfrog their visitors and stay in 4th position. How can you leapfrog your visitors and stay 4th? Surely if you leapfrog, you go above them.
You've gone one above them, yeah.
Who writes this stuff? I'm going to take it back to the editor. I think it might have been me who put these notes together. So sorry about that, folks. I still don't know how you can do that. Maybe I was half asleep when I was trying to write this. But Miners looked in full control with tries from Carl Hunt and Ben Daniels, plus a try and 2 goals from Nathan Benson, as they built a 16-0 cushion with just 13 minutes remaining. Ooh. They've had a right late collapse here, haven't they? Hensingam refused to go out quietly, as Miller Dalton crossed, and that was improved by Adam Williamson before Nick Maudling grabbed a last-minute score. Williamson's second goal cut the gap to 4, but Clock held out for an important win. Taking absolutely nothing away from Clockface Miners here. That's a top win against Hensingam, winning back 16 points to 12. Nathan Benson, Carl Hunt and Ben Daniels with their tries, 2 goals from the boot of Nathan Benson. And for Hensingam, Miller Dalton going in for a try, Nick Maudling going in for a try, 2 goals from the boots of Adam Williamson. if that's what we've got to look forward to in the playoffs, though, long may we have games like that.
Yeah, and very, very much so, because obviously there are two teams that are going to be in the thick of it by the looks of things, aren't they? And speaking of another team that is going to be in the thick of it, Pilks Rex, they were up against Skirler, and they snapped a 2-game losing streak, sweeping aside Skirler to consolidate it third place. The Rex raced into a 20-0 lead, capitalising on Noah Stevens' early sin binning for Skirler. They went 38 points to 6 clear on the hour and never looked back. Aidan Jones starred with a hat-trick, while Callum Derrick and Andy Napper, Callum Cunliffe, Jake Topping and Warren Palladino all added tries. Kieran Napper kicked 6 goals to round off the scoring. For Skirler, Tom Gray contributed a try and 3 goals, while Lachlan Fitzgerald and Scott Mountain also crossed in a defiant showing despite the scoreline. So scorers for Pilks were a hat-trick for Aidan Jones, Callum Derrick, Andy Napper and Callum Cunliffe, Jake Topping, Warren Palladino all with a try each, and Kieran Napper was on hand with 6 goals. For Skirler, it was Tom Gray, Lachlan Fitzgerald and Scott Mountain with 3 goals from the boot of Tom Gray. Got to say, Callum Derrick's been weighing in regular though with scores, hasn't he?
He has. He's been missing for a few weeks though. So after he played in that game that we saw, he's been missing for the last couple of games.
He took a heavy knock in that game,
was a heavy
didn't
knock
he?
That he took. He scored 14 tries in 17 games though, as Callum Derrick. Still not quite top scorer for Pilks this season though. That honour goes to Aidan Jones, who I spoke to earlier on in the season.
That's right,
17 tries and just 14
appearances. Is he the one who drives up from Wales?
He is. Yeah. And then again, you look at that Pilk side and you think, they are a good side. Lads like George Hannon, Tommy Connick still doing the business, Andy Napper, Kieran Napper,
Jamie Smith,
right there. We keep hearing Jamie's going to hang the boots up,
and he just buying a new pair, don't they?
He just keeps getting some more and saying nobody's ruling me out. So to be honest, Jamie's played 16 games this season.
For somebody who wasn't going to play, that's
he's a warrior.
Yeah,
an absolute warrior. Looking pretty solid heading into these playoffs, aren't they?
Very much.
Right, moving on, and we've got a big score to East Leeds to tell you about. Shall I say what? Another one?
Another one.
Another one?
Back to normal.
So, champions East Leeds, they flexed their attacking muscles once more with a ruthless 70 points to 6 win at Driglington, not completing because they got one more game to go, but we know they've nearly completed a 100% season. Driglington briefly threatened an upset when they went over in the first half through Liam Wright, Mick Sanderson converting for an early 6-4 advantage. But then, after that, it was all East Leeds. Kieran Brinning tore through with a 5-try haul, while Jordan Russell, AJ Wilson and Jake Normington each scored 2 tries each. Luke Littlewood capped the rout with a try and 9 goals in what was a near perfect performance. So again, to run through those scorers, as East Leeds won 70 points to 6 at Drig, it was Liam Wright with the try for Driglington, a goal from Mick Sanderson. For East Leeds, 5 tries from Kieran Brinning, 2 tries from Jordan Russell, 2 tries from AJ Wilson, 2 tries from Jake Normington, 1 each from Shane Plunkett and Luke Littlewood adding 9 goals. Now, I know we have talked a lot about scorers this season. There is a lot to admire about this particular team as well, this East Leeds side. And Kieran Brinning is right up there on the try scoring for the actual division.
Man, that match wouldn't have done him no harm, would it? Scoring 5.
But he scored 32 tries in 16 games. Oh, that's a phenomenal season. AJ Wilson
as well. Isn't it?
It is, yeah.
AJ. Always mentioned, isn't he? Yeah.
25 tries in 20 games. And Jake Normington, 21 tries in 17. They've just got so much threat, haven't they?
Yeah.
And we've mentioned Luke Littlewood enough this season. He's actually kicked 105 goals and scored 10 tries. So he's well on top as far as the point scoring honours go for individuals in Division 2.
Do you know what's disappointing and what I really want to see? I want to see East Leeds in playoff competition.
It's not going to happen, though.
Not until they get to a
maybe
premiership.
Next season.
Yeah.
Maybe next season or the season after.
Because that's what I want to say. Because I think that's when things change just ever so slightly. Then, don't they? Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're going to buckle it, but that's if you've not experienced that, that's where it can be a little bit sort of different, as it were.
Without a doubt.
But nevertheless, they've done the business so far. As you said, there's just one game remaining for them to sort out, as it were. Be surprised if they don't, I must admit, after where they've gone through the season.
Right, moving on to Division 3. This is where playoff action is underway. It's well underway. And we saw semi-finals, Steve.
We certainly did. We saw Bentley take on Featherstone Lions in one, and we saw Mighton Warriors up against Leigh East. And it was Bentley who booked their place in Division 3 promotion final with a hard-fought home win over Featherstone Lions, setting up a showdown with, Leigh East.
There's no need for me to read the other reports, Steve.
You've got to tell us how it happened, though, Parker, to decide who will join Keighley Albion and Saddleworth Rangers in Division 2 next season. The Doncaster outfit, inspired by elusive fullback Ben Sykes, struck first when Charlie Emmer crossed it in the 8th minute, with Kieran Lewis adding the first of his 4 perfect goals.
So they weren't just normal goals, they were perfect
goals.
Right, okay.
The Lions hit back quickly, though, through James Metcalf, improved by Jamie Dale, but Bentley regained the advantage before the midway points of the first half, when Sykes capped a fine individual performance with a try of his own. Leading 12-6 at the break, Bentley extended their advantage with the second half brace from forwards Ryan Craswell, who powered over on 54 minutes, followed by Grant Hill as the game entered its final quarter. Featherstone, though, kept battling, and Ash Allman Brooks' try 10 minutes from time gave them hope, but it was proved a little bit too late as Bentley scored a deserved win. So scorers there for Bentley were Charlie Armour, Ben Sykes, Ryan Craswell, Grant Hill, Kieran Lewis went on hand with 4 goals.
You know what? I still feel that with that saying, when it was saying 4 perfect goals.
Yeah,
it got me thinking of that M&S advert. This isn't just any food.
Goal.
This isn't just any goal. This is a perfect goal.
And Featherstone Lions, they were on hand with James Metcalf try along with Ash Allman Brooks. And 2 goals from Jamie Dale. So that was the first of the playoff finals.
Tremendous win, that, by the way, for Bentley. I know I did sort of make funny of the language used. Who's written this week? Must be me. But they have had a season to remember, haven't they, Bentley? And
obviously we were there about 18 months ago, was it?
Yeah, it was the start of last season, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. They played
against
Mellon, wasn't it? Or was it Enzingham?
It was Enzingham.
That was it,
actually. Yeah. And they've come a long way since then, haven't they? Obviously they do like the home comforts. They've got a really good record at home, and it's a fantastic setup that they've
lovely
got
setup,
isn't it?
Yeah. I was having a chat today about these types of grounds. It was my youngest son. I was telling we were going up there, and I said, do you know a lot of these grounds? I said, you don't know they're there. I said, you drive into an housing estate and you're thinking, I'm looking for a rugby pitch and a rugby club here, and then suddenly you take a left down a little side road. I said, and then a right down a dirt track, and it opens up and there's a rugby club there. There's 2, possibly 3 pitches there, and I said,
actually, you've summed up the entrance to Bentley.
Well, it's
there,
exactly that,
because you do turn off that main road, don't you? Where there's all them houses.
Stanningley is another one, which is a similar work. Yeah. You can easily miss it. There's a few others just like that. That if you've not got a clue where they are, I mean, they are tucked away. The 3 that are in Wigan, for starters, Judes, Rosebridge and St Pat's, all very much the same. If you don't know where they are, or you're not keeping your eyes out for the signposts that tell you if you turn on. Lee Miners.
You've got to watch in sometimes now, because half of it's covered up with flags at the moment, all these signs, aren't they?
That's right, yeah.
But that's sort of another thing there. Yeah, really looking forward to heading over to Bentley as well. I know I'm sort of shooting my mouth off before we get to this point, but
spoiler alert, Parky's done it.
We are sort of heading over to Bentley. I'm really looking forward to
Looking forward to going there again,
So, well, you gave us the idea that they're going to be playing against Leigh East. I best tell you how Leigh East got there, haven't I? So they were up against Mighton Warriors, and East produced what was a superb attacking display to sweep aside the Warriors and seal their place in the Division 3 promotion final, to be held at none other than Bentley. The Warriors, who had edged the league meeting at home earlier in the season, were right in the contest at 12-8 down at half-time, thanks to tries from Josh Brannigan and Tyler Sanders. But the second half belonged entirely to the visitors, who ran riot with such expansive rugby. Conor Graney proved pivotal, 2 tries and 3 goals for the prop forward, while Adam Wilkes, another prop forward, also bagged the brace. Further touchdowns came courtesy of Jasper Cockle, Marcus Mercer and Kai O'Brien, with Jordan Hellam slotting 3 conversions and Adam Holland adding another one. Mighton did manage a late consolation through Alfie Wall. How often have we mentioned him on the show this season? He's had a great season. But by then, East were already out of sight and eyeing up potential promotion glory. So, for Mighton Warriors, 3 unconverted tries, courtesy of Josh Brannigan, Tyler Sanders and Alfie Wall. For Leigh East, 2 tries from Conor Graney, 2 tries from Adam Wilkes, 1 each for Jasper Cockle, Marcus Mercer and Kai O'Brien. Conor Graney kicking 3, Jordan Helm kicking 3 and Adam Holland kicking 1. I think we've commented as we've sort of developed the season with, is it Heworth? Heworth have a number of players that they rely on to kick the goals, and I've joked at times that whoever's been closest has picked the ball up and got it to go.
That's right.
And it's felt a little bit like this for this Leigh East, getting 3 goal kickers on one day, but no, a tremendous attacking performance there. And to be fair, Steve, you called it.
That does not surprise me. That sounds exactly the same sort of game that they played against Featherstone. I said it was expansive. It was, and again, as I said last week, I said if they take that to Mighton, they would turn them over. Didn't think they'd turn them over this well. I've got to say
that is a super. I mean, you get to this sort of end of the season, and you almost think, we've just been watching Super League too long, but you almost think that you're going to get games which will be quite nip and tuck, defence orientated, safety first, and it just feels like in this one Leigh East hit the throttle and never gave up.
I think it's one of those things, you've just got to have a confidence in what you're doing. It's so easy when you get to this point where you can get a little bit of frightened of not making a mistake, because there's so much on the game, and you think, if I make a mistake and they score from that mistake, then we're behind the 8 ball, so there's that fear and frustration and worry about it. Watching that game against Featherstone, as much as it didn't really matter massively in the sense of work, because they were going to be in either 4th or 5th position, they certainly play some really exciting stuff. We've seen them play there, and we put it down initially to the pitch, because it's a great setup, it's a great pitch. Like with a lot of clubs, they utilise it very, very well. But their away form has been better than their own form. So they're not frightened of anybody away. And the 2 scores that they've had currently as well, putting the points on, got to stand them in good stead. And it's going to be making for a really, really good final. It really is.
So that final is coming up this Saturday. This is something that you'll be able to hear via our Mixler channel. So if you're listening to us on that very channel, then don't go anywhere. You can already line up for it, wait for a couple of days, and then you'll get the broadcast through. Get yourself signed up for the channel is probably the easy way to then get notified of when we go live. We are absolutely delighted that we are going to be heading down to Doncaster. Bet not many people have said that, but I am really, really pleased that we get the chance to go back to Bentley. We'll be given a really warm welcome last time we were down there.
Yeah.
And this is going to be for the Division 3 promotion. So who is going to join Keighley Albion? Who's going to join Saddleworth in getting into Division 2 next season? Leigh East, they're no strangers to this sort of final hurrah. A couple of years ago, they were in the playoff final against Millom.
Yeah.
When Millom got promoted.
Yeah.
They've been on the wrong end of the scoreboard in probably more of these than they'd care to remember, to be fair. And they're up against a Bentley side that has been pretty consistent in the league, haven't they?
Yeah, it's as I say, it's well balanced. Really is well balanced. Really looking forward to it. What I would say, certainly to all of those teams who obviously in that division who know these two teams, and obviously you can't get there. If you want to give it a listen, we're going to cover it the best we can, because it deserves that. Because this season in that division, it's so easy to miss over it, isn't it? Because it is the lowest of the divisions, but there's been some great matchups. And this is just going to be sort of the icing on the cake here, because you just can't call this one.
Yeah, so the last time that Leigh East did play in one of these playoff finals was back in 2023. I mentioned before it was against Millom.
That's right, yeah.
They lost by 20 points to 6. Let me just have a look at a little bit earlier on in the sort of divisional system. And talk amongst yourselves.
Talking amongst yourselves, as they say.
Yeah, they weren't anywhere near in 2022.
Yeah,
we then had all the COVID effective years. But they have had experience of going to this like final game before, and had painful experiences. And I wonder whether those painful experiences will be the ones that drive them forward.
Possibly, or it may be one of those things that there might be. I don't know what the teams are, sort of player squad wise, whether many of those players have played in those. But certainly watching them in that game against Featherstone, and by the sounds of things, from what I can gather, it was virtually, if not the same team that turned out. They will be brimming with confidence. I don't think any of that will weigh on the mind at all.
Let's perhaps talk about how some of these guys go against each other, kind of thing, and who possibly we might be seeing at the weekend. There's key players on the Bentley side through like Grant Hill, who's their top try scorer, Kieran Lewis, who we mentioned him enough with regarding his kicking game, both from from hand and within the game, and also his goal kicking. Ben Sykes is a guy who we've mentioned a little bit, obviously in some fantastic form at this moment inside. And then there's perhaps a couple of the more unheralded guys in the lads like Scott Smith, Jordan Middleton, who have been thereabouts. They've been the real steel that the rest of this side has been around. If we look at some of the form that Bentley have had as well, they've beaten Keighley Albion home and away this season. They've beaten Beverley home and away. They've knocked 50 points on Milford. They've had very narrow losses to Myton, Featherstone Lions and Dissington. But they've got a level of consistency about the game. But then we've got the unpredictability of Leigh East, haven't we, Steve? Yeah,
very much so. When you look at them, they finished in 5th and they were 9 wins and 9 losses. So how do you call it in that, are they good, are they bad? It's hard to say. Points for, and again, so 426 to 366. So that's a difference of 60 points. And they ended the season with 18 points in total. You could argue that it's been inconsistent and for the regular season, but there's just this late surge at the end, and they've mixed a strong away wins, which is saying, but on the other side, some costly home defeats, which is strange because, as I say, they seem to play very well on that pitch. But as we said, they've crucially found that form here at right at the very end, giving Featherstone Lions what can only be classed as a thrashing, 46 points to 4, and obviously on the back of that, following up with a big away win in that semi-final, 42 points to 12, key players, Cameron Clark, he's always one to watch. Conor Graney as a forward is absolutely immense. Eats the meters up for a young lad, because I'm not sure what age is he, Park? About 22, 23?
About 20, 23, 24 now.
Yeah. But he's absolutely solid, and certainly, as we've seen, he can be on hand to kick a goal as well, along with Adam Holland, who's he's another one who
vastly experienced now, and played a lot of this season off the bench as far as Leigh East are concerned, but they'll have been pleased to get him back in the lineup. He's a guy I know quite well, Adam, and he's been a fantastic servant to Leigh East. He's been one of those players that you turn up to watch, to be fair. Played the bulk of his career, I would say, as a halfback for Leigh East, more often or not used as an additional number 9 now, but still crafty, knows the game, can still nudge over a goal or two when required, as we've sort of talked about him over the course of the season. And then I mentioned it with like Dewsbury Celtic. Leigh spread their tries around, so they've not got anybody that is sort of like really, really up there as far as scoring lots of tries themselves.
And do you know what, Dave?
But it's very team orientated.
Yeah, and you can understand that. When I was watching them play that game against Featherstone, you can understand, because the ball was going across that park from left to right at such speed, and anyone at any time could have easily have brought the line and gone through, so it doesn't surprise me. At that particular day, Marcus Mercer stood out for me on the left side, and he had a young winger. I think it was Cottle, wasn't 100%, but I think it was, by the looks of things, he had a good game in that semi-final as well. And of course there was Bernard Aboagye, who we'd seen beginning of the season, had been playing really well, and he's not in the team at the moment. Whether that's by he just can't get in or he's not available, I'm not quite sure. But when we've seen him play, he's a dangerous character. Matthew Aspinwall, Louis Else, all been on the try scoring board this year. And James Molyneux, 3 tries, 6 goals, 24 points he managed to rack up in one game.
Yeah, very young player as well, James, as well. So, again, plenty for him to build on over the next few years. You've already mentioned sort of this away form of Leigh East, and they've run in impressive wins at Beverley, Millom, Milford and Dissington over the course of the season. And then they've had like narrow home losses, and if they could have turned a couple of these around, where could their season have gone, to be fair? Because they lost to Keighley Albion very, very narrowly, to Milford, to Myton, and they also had a heavy loss earlier on in the season against Featherstone. But it's one of those where a clash of styles, possibly.
Yeah, and it's going to make for a great game, absolutely great game, and I'm just so glad that we're, at the start of these playoffs, and now we've been able to, sort of bring this the first, hopefully, of the plenty for the rest of the next few weeks.
I can tell you're excited for it. I can tell you're excited.
Well, as soon as this is how it went last week. I was. We mentioned this time and time again. You're just as daft as me. Where you're.
That's what you saying.
Yeah, you're looking for the forms to come in with all the team sheets to see how the scores are gone. Yeah. I'm on the RFL NCL page,
refreshing.
Looking for the scores to come in, and there's only 3 scores, or refresh, load more, or there's only 2. And I was on that, and they were all coming through. There was no score for either of these 2 games until really late on, and then suddenly the other game came through. And it was Bentley. Bentley's score that came through first. So who's they going to play? I'm just thinking, have Leigh East done? Because, as I say, it's one of those. Have I sort of said, they're going to be great, and then suddenly they absolutely get tonked, as it were. And it was the last one to come up. And when I saw the score, I thought, wowzer, they've done it, and they've just took that form, like I said. But that sets us up with an absolute blinder.
So that is something that you'll be able to listen to on Saturday afternoon. Do look out for the link, which will get posted after the show, and I'll certainly be retweeting it right across my social media. I'm sure we'll do our best to get the National Conference League involved as well in that. But really, really looking forward to that as well, due to possibly my history as well with Leigh East, and again the fact that when we went over to Bentley, great setup. Looking forward to going back there.
Two great clubs.
So that's the first of the grand finals, the promotion final from Division 3, and you'll be able to hear every single minute here on the 13 Pro or via 13 Pro Am Community Rugby League show live. How did that sound?
Absolutely superb,
Have we sold it enough? Have we sold it enough?
You've sold enough. Tickets, I can hear the ticket machine going now. But there are other fixtures on, aren't there?
There certainly are other fixtures, yeah. Because we've got some elimination semi-finals that are happening in the Premier Division. So, loser goes home out of both these, and they can start thinking of Mad Monday or Mad Sunday or Saturated Tuesday or whatever you're going to call it. Waterhead at home to Thatterweath Crusaders. Ooh, tasty morsel of a game, that one. And West Hull at home to what is an informed Rochdale Mayfield as well. If it goes against the form book, we've got Fatto and Mayfield, which are heading into the semi-final. If Waterhead get through, I could be very wrong here, by the way, but I've got a sneaky suspicion Rochdale Mayfield might do it.
Do you think so?
I do. I could be very, very wrong, but you know, the story's being written because, as I've mentioned, both of the coaches are stepping down at the end of the season, so it's a bit of the end of an era. Both of them have been involved for a good number of years over at Mayfield, but it's going to be fascinating, isn't it? Division 1, well, that sees already relegated Crossfields up against Wigan St Pat's, Egremont Rangers at home to Ince Rosebridge, Shawcross Sharks at home to Oldham St Anne's, Alton Raiders, they're visiting Stanningley, Heworth are up against Wigan St Judes. That is also a fantastic game in prospect there. Woolston Rovers up against Kells. And then Division 2, Steve.
We've got East Leeds. They've got to take on Barrow Island. Ellenborough Rangers, they'll be welcoming Piltrax. Driglington, they will be travelling all the way up to Hensingham. And Clockface Miners, they will take in that long trip along the M62 to Old Dockers.
It's not that long. It's only 2.5 hours.
I won't like walking. Normanton Knights, they will welcome Dewsbury Celtic, and Skirler, they will be playing Thornhill Trojans. So
a shed load to play for, still in the season, Steve, and we've got this fantastic Division 3 playoff final all to come, courtesy of the 13 Pro Am Community Rugby League show. We can't wait.
Yep.
I get the feeling you're listening to us and you're getting excited because we're getting excited. Again, we've got to thank everybody in connection with getting the information through to us for how we've been made to feel at so many of the grounds that we've visited so far this season. There is yet more to come, but we have reached, I'm going to say it, Steve, I can say it officially, we've reached the business end.
We certainly have reached the business end, and all I can suggest, and I think you said it earlier on, Parky, is get right onto Mixler, find out where we are, get us followed, and then once we post the fact that we're going to be covering this game, which will probably be later on or early tomorrow, you will be notified. So when the game starts, you just click on and obviously you can follow us over there at Bentley against Leigh East.
Thanks as always, Steve, for pushing the buttons, making us sound even half decent, and putting up with my terrible jokes every single week. Hope you've enjoyed the show. We'll do it all again next week, shall we?
Every tackle, every try, every scrum. Green Cooling is proud to be part of the Community Rugby League family.